Hello, welcome to U.I.L Computer Science. Today we'll be talking about the math class. So in the math class, you're basically using methods. The methods could be like absolute value, power, square root. You can use sine, cosine, tangent, all this kind of stuff. But if you want to make your own, not make your own method, but if you want to use a method from the math class, then you would have to know the signature of a method. And this goes for any method, even ones that you make. So for example, if you want to use a square root method, then you would have to type in double, square, and inside the parentheses, double x. So this double means the type returned. So let's say you're gonna put 4 as x. It's gonna return 2.0. 2.0 because the type return is a double. And the method name is square root. It's called square, meaning you're gonna take the square root of something. And inside the parameter, you're gonna have the parameter type and the variable name. In this case, it's just x. So if you just type in, I don't know, double x equals square root of 9.0 or 9 for that case, because you can have 9 as an integer be a double, right? Then it's going to return 3.0. So that's that. And here are the different types of signatures of the math class. You have int abs for absolute value. So with absolute value, if you put in an integer inside the parameter, it's going to return a integer, right? Because the return type is an int. So if you type in -1, it's going to return 1. But if you type in a double for your parameter type, let's say -1.0, it's going to return 1.0 because the return type is a double. So for absolute value, whatever you put in is what's going to be put out, at least the data type for that matter. But for basically the rest of them, it's going to be a double. So like with power is pow, right? So the base is going to be a double, and you're going to raise that to an exponent, which is also a double. But remember, if you put in an integer, that could also be a double. For example, if I put 2 comma 3, right? 2 is an int and 3 is also an int, but we're not losing any data. So it's going to be 2.0 to the 3.0 power, which is 8.0, right? 2 cubed is 8. So for power, whatever you put in, it's going to return a double. So, and also with the square root, whatever you put in is going to return a double. So what you can get out of the math class is, if you don't remember the return type, just assume that's a double, and you'll most likely get it right, unless you go into round and absolute value. The next one is seal and floor. Now these aren't tricky, but you just have to think of the number line or a building. So if I type in, I don't know, double seal of 2.4, it's going to return 3.0 because seal returns the next highest whole number from x. If I did seal of 2, it'll return 2 because the next whole number from 2 is 2, right? Unless you put a decimal, then it's going to go up. Like if you put 2.01, it's going to return 3. So it's just going to go up. If you're on that number, it's going to be on that number. Same thing with floor. If you put 3.2, it's going to return 3.0 because it goes to the next lowest whole number from x. Now, when you get into negatives, it gets a little bit tricky. But I'll get into that later. Just remember that with seal, you go up, and with floor, you go down. So don't confuse that when you're working with negatives. Double min and int min, double max and int max. Basically, you're just going to get the lowest number from the two and the highest number from the two. If your both numbers are doubles, it's going to return a double. If both numbers are ints, it's going to return an int. Those are pretty self-explanatory. When you make your methods, you want to make your method, at least the name of the method, make the most sense as possible. Like if you didn't know anything about the math class, but you saw these method names, you might get like a gist of what the method does. Like max, and you have two numbers. I mean, it kind of makes sense, common sense, that the highest number is gonna be the answer. right? So with double min, it's gonna get the smaller of A and B, and double max or int max, it's gonna get the larger of A and B. Now double random, you got to know this one. It returns a random double from 0 to 1, 1 exclusive. So it's gonna include 0 and it's gonna go up to 1. So let's say you did double random times 5. Then it's going to go from 0 to 5, but not including 5. And it's going to give you a random double from anywhere in between that that interval, right? It includes 0, but it doesn't include the number that you want to go up to, okay? Now double pi is a constant, right? Usually when we rename constants, they're the name or the variable name is in all caps, right? And of course, if you know the digits of pi, it's 3.14159625 blah blah blah, right? So if you want to use it, you would type in capital Pi. It's already made for you. You don't have to make your own variable for pi because it's in the math class. And then here you have double log. So when you type in log, it's going to give you base e of x, or the natural log of x. So just keep in mind that when you log something, you're not really getting the log in base 10 or the common log. You're actually getting base e of x. Then you have your trigonometric function, sine, cosine, tangent, and these will give you the sine of the angle, but in radians. It's always going to be in radians, okay? If you want to get the angle, let's say you already have the answer of sine, right? But you want to find what the angle is, then you would use a sine, a cos, and a tan. And that'll give you the angle, and of course, if you know your trigonometry, then you know the intervals of your answers. If you want to convert an angle to degrees, then you would plug in the angle in radians, and it's going to convert from radians to degrees. You probably can't see that, I'm sorry about that. Here you go. So again, with the log, sine, and cosine, it's going to return base e of x, log base e of x, not the common log. Sine, cosine, tangent is going to give you the answer in radians. A sine, a cos, a tangent is going to give you the number of the angle, right? The angle measure in radians, of course, and it has their intervals. If you want to convert an angle from radians to degrees, then you would use the 2 degrees method, and the same thing for radians. If you want to convert from degrees to radians, you would use the 2 radians method. And that's pretty much it for the math class. I don't know if you want to like screenshot or take a picture of it or whatever. It'll be here. And then now I'm going to give you a couple of examples. First, I'll go over ceiling and floor because a lot of people get that wrong. It's like a common mistake that people make. So first, let me get this in the shot. Okay. So let's say, for example, we had math.co 1.4. It's going to return 2.0. Okay. Now what if I had math.floor of 1.4? It's going to return 1.0, right? Seal goes up like a ceiling, floor, you go down, you know, like on the floor, right? But what if I had math.seal of negative 1.4? Remember, ceiling goes up. Don't think that because it goes up, it's going to be negative 2. It's not. It's actually going to go to negative 1.0, right? You can, if you want, you can make a vertical number line. Make this a 0 point, make this negative 1, and you can make this negative 2. Negative 1.4 is somewhere like around right here, right? So if you want to go up because of ceiling, you're going to go to negative 1. If you want to go to floor of negative 1.4, then you're going to be at negative 2.0, right? Because floor, you go down, and that's going to be negative 2. So don't confuse your negatives. When with ceiling, you're going to go to the next highest whole number. You're going to go to the right of the number line. Or if you're making number line vertical, you're going to go up. It's better if you make number line vertical so you can get a sense of ceiling and floor, right? So that's ceiling and floor. Okay, here I'll give you another example. So let's say double D equals 46.789. Okay. Oh, did I talk about math.round? No, I didn't. Okay, well, before I get into this, I need to talk about math.round. I completely skipped it and I shouldn't have. So, math.round, okay? You're going to put in a double, let's say like 1.5, right? It's going to round that to 2, right? X rounded to the nearest whole number, but your return type's not an integer or a double. You would think it's a double, and you could also think it's an integer, but it's not. It's actually a long. Sometimes they ask you that question: what is the return type of long? What is the return type of round? And it's a long. Okay, so you gotta make sure that you remember this one, especially this one, the return type of round. It's a long. Okay, so it's not gonna be a double. If you go from 1.6 and you round it, it's not gonna be 2.0. It's gonna be 2, and 2 is type long. Okay. So let's do the problem that I was gonna show you. Okay, let's say we had out dot print ln. Print ln means you're gonna print the answer and then you're gonna create a new line. That's what the ln is for. Math dot round d times 100 divided by 10. This should be another parentheses. So how do you get the answer? Well, first you have to do d times 100. So you're going to do 46.789 times 100. And as you know, when you multiply by 100 or by 10 or whatever, you're going to move the decimal place, the number of zeros to the right. So in this case, the number of zeros is 2. So you're going to move the decimal place twice to the right. And you're going to get 4678.9, right? Which is approximately... Oh, wait, no. Okay, my bad. I actually messed up with the parentheses. So... Yeah, there you go. Okay, so... Okay. So we're gonna round this part. Okay, I messed up with the second parentheses. I read it wrong for my notes. Okay, so it's gonna be math round of this. And after you round it, you're gonna divide by 10. So when you round 4678.9, it's gonna be rounded up to 4679, right? Because you're gonna round up. Then you're going to divide by 10, right? When you divide by 10, you move the decimal place one time to the left. And you're going to get 467.9, right? But 467.9 is a type long. So because we have a decimal place, we have to truncate the decimal. So anything past the decimal gets chopped off. So the answer is 467. Okay. So this question was a little bit tricky. Again, multiply by 100, round it up. When you divide by 10, you're gonna get a decimal, but remember it's a type long, so you truncate the decimal. Everything past the decimal just gets chopped off. And then I'll get into the random. So this wasn't like what I told you with the random times 0.5 or whatever, but I can actually give you an example of that. But first, let me give you a problem from the computer science test. So we have random r equals new And then we're gonna print r dot next int 5 plus 33. That's it. So the question might ask like which one of these numbers is not part of the like interval. That's like a common question for that. To answer the question, it's pretty simple. This number, the plus 33, this number is your min. Okay, the lowest number, the lowest value in that interval. This number, I had a formula for it. It's max minus min plus 1. Okay, so if your min is 33, then it's going to be max minus 33 plus 1, which is max minus 32, which equals to 5. Move 32 to the other side, and you get max equals 37, right? 37 minus 32 is 5. So your max value is 37, and your min value is 33. So your range is from 33 to 37. These both points are inclusive. So they might give you like A is 34, B is 36, D is 37, and like I don't know, E is 31. Which one of these is not part of the like interval, whatever? Then it would be E31, right? So that's how you do it. Again, min, max minus min plus 1. So your max is 37. And then these points are in the interval, and the numbers are in between that interval too. And next int means you're going to get an integer value. So that's why you don't get 33.5 or whatever. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's see. Well, if you had random R, new random, and you get R times equals 5. I don't even know if I'm doing this right. And you're gonna print R, then R is gonna be from the interval of 5 to 0. In other words, from 0 to 5, right? 0 is inclusive, the 5 is exclusive. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the math class. Math class is super simple. If you know the name, like, just look at the name of the method, and I mean, common sense, like square root, right? That means you can take the square root of something. And the gist for the math class is if you don't know the return type, then it's gonna be a double. So look for answers that has a double. If you're returning your answer, like 37, if it's an int, and you have another 37 that's a double as one of your answer choices, and you forgot the return type, then 50-50 chance, I'd say go for the one with the double. It'll probably give you the answer. But if you know the return type, that's even better for you. And yeah, that's pretty much it.